All right, so I'm really excited about this. There's a creator named Bailey Sarian. You may have heard of her because she's one of the biggest breakout channels on YouTube in the past year, and she combines murder and makeup, which are two things that just shouldn't go together, but somehow do. And we're gonna look at the analytics behind her channel and why it's blown up. Hey Bailey, you ready to do this?
Hi, I'm ready to do this.
So here's the deal. I spent a bunch of time basically going through your YouTube analytics, looking at the data behind your channel and the rise of your channel and what's been popular to help us kind of understand how you became so successful.
I love
Does that sound good?
I love that.
Okay, cool. So the first question before I pull up any interesting charts is, how much time do you spend checking your YouTube analytics?
I pay attention to watch time, and that's usually about it. I feel like staring at analytics was stealing my joy. I really like the content that I make. I have a fun time doing it, and I'm very interested in it. And I started to notice when I was paying attention to my analytics, it was just bringing me down. It was like, no number is ever good enough. I was never doing good enough. I was never gonna be good enough according to these numbers. And it started just to mess with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not gonna look anymore. I'm gonna keep doing what I love and let that lead the way.
My goal today is to put the joy back in your analytics. Well, I've also brought some candles here. These are scented, terrible candles, but I have just to get a little bit of
the vibe
relationship here. The first chart we're gonna look at is the lifetime viewership on your channel. And the first thing you'll notice, there's several years where the line is relatively flat. And it looks that way because you've been so successful in the past year and a half, 2 years. Tell us about that time when sort of the line is flat here.
So in the beginning, I was just making content that was focused on makeup reviews, products, get ready with me, where I was just kind of like sitting and talking. And I really enjoyed it, but it was really hard to stand out in the sea of content creators. I kept trying because I really enjoyed making YouTube videos. I like sitting down and just having a conversation with my viewers.
Yeah, all right, so let's talk about that turning point. You can see here, like 2019 is like where things start really happening, right? So like, let's talk about what happened here.
Well, in 2018, I was heavily following the Chris Watts case. It's a really awful story. I was like so obsessed with it. I had all this built up knowledge about the case, so I just needed to talk about it. And I was like, okay, what if I made a video where I talked about the Chris Watts case and then I did my makeup at the same time just to like keep myself busy, give myself something to do, and I did. And that's where it all began.
Okay, so then what happened here? Do you know what happened here, I should say?
I don't know what happened there.
It's when the Cannibal Cafe video came out. What was what that really seemed to have taken off going back and like looking at the data here. So like what do you attribute that?
I just think the overall story had a lot of people thinking and a lot of people talking and engaging. He was asking for anyone willing to be eaten. And the fact that, again, I was doing my makeup and talking about cannibals, I think it just kept people watching.
Yeah, so did anything change for you when this started happening, when you started to get this response?
Yes, I was like, okay, I need to focus on more cannibals.
So let's go to the next chart. So this is 2020. There's this gradual like increase that's not associated with necessarily any specific video, right? Like in mid 2020.
I think by that time I kind of had like my system in place where I had my intro, I knew what I was gonna say, I came in more confident.
We're gonna do a little detour here for a second. So this is 2019 into 2020. I noticed one thing that was pretty interesting, that was common about the videos that had the lowest views in the first 24 hours and the ones that had the most views in the first 24 hours. Can you guess what the common threads between those two things were?
Murder.
That is right. It's like basically all your more traditional beauty videos were getting fewer views in the first 24 hours than all of the murder videos were. Your audience like kind of was like in on this, like with you. They're like, yeah, like more of this, please. Interestingly, when you look at this from your click-through rate, and when you look at the highest click-through rate thumbnails versus the lower ones, like actually, it really is not just about the thumb, it's actually about the topic.
Yeah, I just am surprised that Mothman video is #1 because I thought that one didn't perform that well.
The click-through rate doesn't always correlate with overall popularity, right? Like actually there are a lot of videos that people might click on and then they might not stick around for. Which videos do you think have the highest 100% viewed.
Jeffrey Dahmer for sure.
Satanic Panic or a cult hidden in town. So I went and looked. So this is the retention, this is what we call the absolute retention of the video. So basically in your analytics, you can go in and see like where did the audience start to drop off at different points. And you can see yours is like pretty steady and pretty high, but there's a couple of spikes. And the spikes usually happen when people are like rewatching something. So just tell me what you think of this. So at the 6-minute mark, there's this like kind of bump where you describe what happens when someone gets hanged.
When someone is hanged, the body weight pulls the chin toward the rope so that the rope mark is always above the Adam's apple.
A pretty morbid thing,
Oh
but
my
like,
God.
it's like, okay, like people are like, what? They're like, wait, what is she talking about? And then the bumps at the like in the later part of the video comes in about 18 minutes and 19 minutes. It's actually when you're like cracking jokes. In one of them, you talk about how you like had bad cramps and that's why you were being so sassy in that part of the video. And then in the other part, you started laughing about something and then you're like,
it's not funny.
because you're like in the middle of this like serious thing. And I think it's just like, I think that speaks to the like reason that a lot of people tune in, right? Is not like just for the case, but it is for like the Bailey version of the story.
That's me in a nutshell. I'm talking about like some very morbid stuff, but I got bad cramps and I'm in a bad mood. So like that is the definition of who I am as a person. Okay, so I need to sprinkle in some more like humor.
All right, and then we got one last chart. This is the same scatter plot that we looked at earlier, but this is actually looking at a longer window of time. So it basically takes us into this year. I think it's pretty amazing that like, okay, so we're 2 years since you started down this like path of, you know, making this kind of hybrid, you know, murder makeup content. And your videos are actually doing the best ever.
Of course, it's scary to think about trying something new. But I mean, if I honestly was super passionate about something else, 100% I would try it. Like you don't have anything to lose. And it's like, I think a lot of my subscribers kind of come for the personality and the way that I talk about things. So I think a lot of them would go with it. I don't know though. Yeah. I don't know. I struck gold, I feel like. How often do you hear about YouTubers just trying something on a whim for fun and like it being super successful? Most of the times I've talked to other creators, it's like, oh, I tried this thing, totally bombed. Or they get stuck in this hamster wheel and they're too afraid to try something, or they're just comparing themselves and the numbers and all of that. And I literally did everything opposite. I didn't look at the numbers. I just did whatever I wanted and I'm still doing it. Like, how often do you hear creators saying that, you know? So it's just, I got very lucky.
All right, Bailey, before we go, what should people be on the lookout for with your channel this year?
So I've been working on a lot of new exciting things that I'm not allowed to mention yet, but it's kind of like in the same realm and it should be fun and something that I've been wanting to do. So I'm trying something new, okay? And it's gonna be good, I think. We'll see. I love my confidence. What now?
I mean, honestly, I think just like stop, like keep not looking at your analytics and just keep doing your thing because it seems to be working pretty well.
Yeah, I'll just get more candles. That's what I'm good at.
Thank you so much for checking out this exclusive clip from YouTube's first ever beauty festival. And if you like that, there's a lot more from where that came from. Click here to see the full show from #BeautyFest and be joined by more of your favorite beauty creators, gurus, founders, entrepreneurs, hairstylists, makeup artists, pop stars, celebrities, and more.